Okay, we now move on to Alton Towers, agenda item number 10, SMD 2022-0556. If I can ask the representatives to come forward. I'm going to hand over to Joe to introduce the application.
Okay, so this proposal is for the removal of existing structures and the construction of a new building to house an indoor attraction, associated groundworks, infrastructure and landscaping at Alton Towers Resort. The application site is located within the southwest corner of the resort on the edge of the plateau on which the resort sits. The application site currently consists of a back of house area with no public access. It's used for storage of various materials and is home to several storage containers. It's located within the, here you can see a clearer site plan of the current situation. The site's located within the open countryside and the Alton and Farley Conservation Area. And it's within an area that's cut out, but within the registered park and garden. It's adjacent to the Grade 2 listed flag tower, and the Bunbury Hill Fort scheduled monument sort of wraps round that you can see in sort of light purple there. Abbey Wood also wraps around the site to the west and the south, and this is a site of biological importance. So here's just some photos. This is the approximate location of where the public entrance to the area will be. This is the eastern end of the site. This gives you an idea of the site as it currently exists. This is the access route to the south of the application site. And this is the Grade 2 listed flag tower that's approximately 50 metres away from the nearest point of the application site. So this is a full application proposing the erection of a building to house a new indoor attraction. This includes, I'll just go to the site plan for you actually. Oh, sorry, I've lost it. There we go. So here you can see the location of the building for the indoor attraction, the queue line, the plaza, and then the entrance feature, the entrance gateway to the east of the site. The proposed building has a footprint of, let me just go to those plans. The proposed building has a footprint of 71 metres by 51 metres. And it has a smaller sort of entrance shop element that's 40 metres by 9 metres in footprint. The main bulk of the building would be 20 metres tall to the ridge, but this is at the southern end, and it's 16 metres to the ridge at its northern end, and this is due to the topography of the site. As you can see here, it's sort of set into that topography. The entrance gateway is approximately 7 metres by 1 metre in terms of footprint, and that's 5 metres tall. And the queue line consists of sort of timber raised platforms and fencing, and that navigates through the existing woodland that's on the site. So within the application site, 44 trees are proposed for removal, in addition to 13 located outside of the red line, and I can provide more detail on that if you wish. The proposal does not include any new parking, and it will be accessed via the existing resort entrance and utilise existing parking facilities of the resort. So in terms of principle, the development is supported by local and national policies that seek to encourage investment and expansion of businesses. Then the framework gives support of economic growth significant weight in decision making. And Alton Towers explain within their submission that continued investment is necessary to revitalise the offer of the resort and to maintain visitor numbers. The Churnit Valley Master Plan SBD identifies this area as a potential area suitable for new rides, but subject to sensitivity to landscape visual impact and the setting of heritage assets, in particular the flag tower and the scheduled monument. So key issues relevant are landscape and visual impact, ecology and trees, residential amenity, economic impact, drainage, design sustainability, and heritage impact. I'm going to focus on landscape and visual impact, ecology and trees, and heritage impact. So in terms of landscape, the proposed new building would be partially visible from outside the resort, but the overall impact has been considered by the council's landscape advisor to be minor. Overall, the proposal is for the structure to be a dark green colour, and the intention is to aid in reducing the visual impact. However, that exact colour is yet to be agreed. In terms of ecology and trees, the impact of the proposal on biodiversity and trees has been carefully considered. It's found to be acceptable. There's been discussions with the applicant and relevant officers, and additional detail has been provided and is referenced to within suggested conditions. A biodiversity net gain figure of 39% is now proposed. And this is largely achieved through enhancement of areas of Abbey Wood and is linked to a woodland management plan update and implementation. So the council's tree officer has worked with the Wildlife Trust and the landscape architect to suggest amendments to the proposed landscape plan, planting plan, and then the conditions that relate to the woodland management plan and the biodiversity net gain details. The overall planning balance, however, for this proposal comes down to the impact on the significance of affected heritage assets as outlined within national policy. Concerns have been raised by Historic England, Staff's County Archaeology and the Conservation Area, particularly in relation to the scale and location of the building. And so the overall harm has been identified to be less than substantial. So that's as opposed to substantial, which would result in a recommendation for refusal. Where less than substantial harm is identified, national policy tells us that we should be looking for public benefits to outweigh that harm. So in summary, those public benefits are economic benefits, so the creation of seasonal jobs and permanent jobs, local spend, and then support for the economic role of Alton Towers Resort itself. The Abbey Wood Management Plan, which affects land outside of the red line. The Heritage Project, which has been proposed but is still under discussion, and that includes measures to aid the public's engagement with heritage assets. So, subject to agreement of the details of the Heritage Project, the proposal meets the policy tests, and it's considered that the public benefits outweigh the less than substantial harm that has been identified. And so the application is recommended for approval with 25 conditions currently. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Joe, for that. There are two speakers for this application, both in support of the application. Speaking first is Mr. Francis Jackson, the General Manager of Alton Towers. Mr. Jackson.
There we go.
Good afternoon, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Francis Jackson, General Manager of Alton Towers, and I'm joined here with Hannah Whitney, our planning consultant, who can also assist if there are any queries. We welcome the officer's recommendation for approval. I wanted to emphasise a few key general points about the importance of Alton Towers Resort and this project. Alton Towers is the United Kingdom's most popular and largest theme park, and is therefore an important generator of tourism, particularly within Staffordshire area, We're a major local employer offering a range of permanent and seasonal contracts. It's vital that Alton Towers refreshes its offer to ensure that it remains competitive and it continues to attract visitors to allow for continued investment in the estate. Ongoing investment in attractions is even more important against the backdrop of the continued recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, of which both leisure and tourism industry has been hit as one of the hardest sectors. To enhance the offer at the resort and boost our recovery, this proposal is for the removal of some of the existing structures which have been shown today and the construction of a new building to house an indoor attraction. There will be, as highlighted, a themed entrance theme, queue line in the plaza. We welcome the office's recognition of the wider public benefits that will result from the proposed investment. This new attraction is particularly important to Alton for its ongoing recovery, and we're excited to have the opportunity to bring something new to the resort. I hope the councillors agree with the office's recommendation and grant permission for the proposals this afternoon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And speaking next, Ms Hannah Whitney, the Planning Director for Litchfield.
Hi. Chair, I'm happy that everything's been covered in the presentation from the case officer and from Francis, so nothing further to add, but if there's any questions, I'm happy to assist.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Councillor Andrew Hart, are you okay? No. Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Keith Launder.
Yes, I think due to my position as well and the fact that I've had quite a lot of communications with Alton Towers, I would probably need to abstain as well, but I just wanted to emphasise the fact that it fits our tourism strategy very well and all the economic structures that we're going forward with at the moment. So on that note, I'll leave it there and let the other councillors decide what to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Members? Oh, hands everywhere. Councillor Peter Wilkinson.
Thanks, Chair. As you understand, this is Zone 2 then. This development Zone 2. Zone 2, yeah. It does say potential for redevelopment in this area, which is sensitive to distant views, tree canopy, Bunbury Hill Fort and the Flag Tower. Leisure uses include new rides are potentially suitable in this area. Height restrictions should be considered due to this being the high point within the resort. Any future development should be screened from long distant views and enhance the setting of the Flag Tower. So obviously this is going to go above the tree line, so and also it's an attraction. We don't know what ride it is, so we don't know what noise is going to permeate from this new development, do we? So I think there is a dwelling not far away called Wildwood. I think that was came here for climate change mitigation development. Whether we should consider a noise assessment from that dwelling, with it being quite close, and also I wouldn't like to see any lighting high up on this building because that'll impact on quite a distance. So whether we can look at the lighting on it, I don't know what external lighting is going to be. We don't know what the noise is going to be, and I think we should know. And also any planting would probably be better to be evergreen, maybe fast growing conifers or things that are going to screen it all year round. So those are my concerns at the moment. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Jim Davis.
Yes, a question first of all. I note in the conditions that the colour of the building is up for discussion. But what's the building actually going to be clad with? What material? I can't see any reference to that.
It's essentially a metal portal framed building, so it's a sort of metal clad.
Yeah, so it's with box action steel sheeting. Yeah, okay, fine. I'm happy to propose this application for approval on that basis. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ben Emery.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'll agree. I think it's a great idea. None of us know what's going on in there because it's very highly secretive. So we'll all look forward to that, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, might even get a take the children. I'll change what I was going to say. Yeah, it looks great. I think the landscaping will hide, like I say, conifers for the summer. We've already got some conifers growing in that area, I've noticed, and it must have been about 100 years old, so my farmer friend over here confirmed. So we can see in the green and the blue, that thin line, that's behind the trees. That's what you see. You won't see hardly anything of it. It's at the very, very top. So, to me, you know, Alton Towers have constantly delivered good, impressive, exciting rides that our children and ourselves have always loved for many, many years. So I'll propose this going forward for it, please. Thank you.
Any further speakers? Oh, no, sorry, Tony, go on.
I'd just like to say I was invited to the presentation, so I don't know what I think I can vote on it. And you were going to camouflage the roof, so as what bit was showing above the trees would be camouflaged out anyway. So I agree with it as well. Thank you.
Councillor Keith Uptrough.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just to say I'm in full support of it. It'll clean up the site as it is at the moment around there. Good for the overall tourism of the moorlands with the anticipated increase of visitors due to a new attraction.
Councillor Wilkinson.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, can we put something in about lighting coming out at low level? As an informative.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll just come back on some of the points that you mentioned. So in terms of noise impact assessment has been done, and there are conditions relating to noise during the construction phase and the operation of the attraction as well, and that relates to things like the soundtrack that's played outside the attraction building and things like that. There's also a condition requiring a strategy for external lighting as well that's suggested. And then your point on planting plan has been discussed in quite a lot of detail, and that's conditioned and found appropriate by the relevant officers as well.
There's two issues I particularly want to raise. I think we all know Alton Towers is not only of great importance to the moorlands and the moorlands economy and our footprint and our economy, but obviously it's of national significance as the UK's leading theme park attraction, and obviously we're very fortunate and proud to have it in the moorlands. I have absolutely no concerns with the scheme. I assume the colouring will be sympathetic, which it always has been. Obviously dark colours, whether it's brown, anthracite grey, whatever, so it doesn't stick out. But the two things I particularly wanted to raise, which that particular image shows, one is the flag tower, which obviously is grade 2 listed, but it is an incredibly beautiful building. It is well designed, it looks fantastic. We were obviously very lucky to be underneath it today when we went on site, but I'm very conscious from my historic years working there that it's very much off park at the back of the site, and from the public viewpoint it's very much perched on the valley side in the Churnick Valley. The only problem is nobody can no longer see it, and I think something as part of the woodland management plan we should look to proactively either remove trees that are blocking it or to lower trees, because that building is part of the Alton Manor estate in terms of having the flag tower and then having the manor building on the park, only that nobody actually gets to physically see it or enjoy it. And it's a very prominent building. I appreciate it's got one or two masts stuck to it nowadays, but if we can start to lower the canopy so you obviously see it in those vistas with the flag tower on one side, you get Alton Castle on the other, and actually by exposing the flag tower as the prominent part of that side view, it probably would actually detract from any popping up of the attraction building, because obviously people's eyes will be drawn to that building then and not the other part of the site. So as much as I hate to say remove trees, I really do think we should look at this asset. It's a beautifully designed building, but no one anywhere can see it anymore. You literally see the turreted top part, and I say I'd like to see that exposed. The other thing I wanted to particularly mention is obviously a lot of work's been done on the park given the Grade 1 gardens, and we were talking about this particularly at the briefing yesterday, and I do want to raise it, and that is further restoration of the other heritage assets on that site. I'm very aware that you're putting £12 million into this attraction, and we know that's going to bring people in. Work's been done obviously on the conservatories and restoring them. I would like to see the next part of that looked at very proactively as part of this scheme, and particularly my personal preference would be the orangery. Now I know that's quite a large scheme, and I'm not saying it should be done wholly as part of this this development, because I recognise it's going to take some time and some funding, but I think we started that suite there of restoring those Grade 1 gardens. Amazing work's been done on the conservatories. I'd like to see further restoration this time on that orangery part, and I say whether it's spread over 2 or 3 future applications, so we start that in train, but I'd like to see that as part of this condition, that we start that next physical building of restoring those Grade 1 gardens in this next part of that. So I would like to effectively add that to the proposal for approval, if the proposal would be in acceptance of that. Councillor Davis is nodding yes. That will also be subject to further discussion with the council and the part of the woodland plan, but I think it's important that we make sure the development of the park and the enhancement of that is linked to actual development of the rise and thrills and attractions side of things as well. And I say I'd love to see more of that flag tower as we start to go around that valley, because the Churnick Valley master plan and all the other Churnick Valley stuff is absolutely key. So having that back on the valley side in full prominence would be absolutely amazing. So I'd hope you'd proactively look at that as well. Are there any other further comments from members? Okay, so we've had a recommendation for approval from Councillor Davies, seconded by Ben Emery. If you're in favour of approval, please raise your hands. That is unanimous, excluding the 2 that obviously have said they're going to abstain. Those abstaining? Those against? None. Okay, so you do have your approval. And we look forward to receiving more details in due course on what it is. Right, we are now moving on to agenda item 11.